Good day. Today we're going to talk about finding the z-score value if you're given the area under the curve. This is the worksheet that we started, but we did not finish the last couple on it. You did 1 through 7 last week, and I told you that we would find the last little bit of this when we came through on today. So we're going to look at this part of the sheet. If you are given the area under the curve, so basically what you have is you have the area under the curve in these numbers down here. Typically, we're given the z-score and we're asked to find the area. Now we're going backwards. So this says if I know that the area is 0.8415, I want to know what the z-score is. So I know that this number is bigger than 0.5. So it has to be on the positive side of my chart. So what I'm trying to do is I'm actually trying to locate that number on the chart, or I need the closest thing to it. And so if I go down here, right here, this is 8413, and that's as close as I'm going to get to 8415. So I'm going to use this number right here. I'm going to go to the left and get my first two numbers, so 1.0, and then I'm going to go up to get my last number. So on this particular one, the z-score is equal to 1.00. You can also be given these areas as a percentage. For example, if I'm looking at number 10, this is 53.98%. The first thing you need to do is change that to a decimal, 0.5398. And it's going to say that you want it to the left, which I wouldn't give you one that's not to the left. So I need to find on the chart the number 0.5398. So I'm going to go up here on my chart, and I have 0.5398 right there. So my first numbers come from the left, so 0.1, and then I go up and get my last one. So that's a 0. So this is z equals 0.10. All right, so we're going to look at a couple of these, and we're going to go through and find these, and all of these I think are given as percents, just to kind of give you some practice. So this is 54.78. So again, it's positive. It's on the positive side because it's bigger than 0.5. So I'm going to be looking for 0.5478 on my chart. That's what I'm looking for. So 5478 is right here, okay? And it is 0.01, and my last digit comes from the top, which is the 2. So the answer for this one would be z is equal to 0.12 because I'm going across to get 0.1 and then up to get that last digit. Okay, same thing for the next one. On this one, I'm looking for the number 0.6985. So you're turning it from a percent to a decimal, and then you're looking for that number on the chart. And this one is right here. So I have 0.5 and then up to my 2. So z is equal to 0.52. All right, this last one is 0.8810. So 8810. Let's see, I think it's over here on this side, so I'm probably going to have to scroll over. 8810. So this one is right here, so it's on that, let's see what line that's on, 1.1. Okay, so this is 1.1. So z is equal to 1.1, and I am in the 8th column. All right, so you need to go through and make sure that you can complete the last ones on this worksheet that you had from last week. and that will get you started with that. And then I'm going to walk you through a couple of things on the review sheet. As we go through these things, you may want to pause and then go take a look at the rest of those on that worksheet, and then we'll do the review sheet. All right, if you finish with the worksheet, we're going to finish with the review sheet. And there's just a couple of things that I need to point out to you on this review sheet, because some of you have noticed a couple of things, and hopefully everybody's noticed them. Just a review of the rules from Friday, Thursday and Friday. If I have the z-score and I'm looking them up on the chart, if they come from the left, now remember, left means the word left. It can be the less than symbol. So either one of those, I'm reading that number directly off the chart from the z-score that I'm given. As a reminder, I've said this like 25 times already, but I'm going to say it again. You should never do anything to the z-score itself. You may only do operations to the number that you get off the chart. You may not do it to the z-score itself. So you must look the z-score up on the chart and then do something. Okay? So if you're coming from the left, you're just reading that number off the chart and turning it into a percent. If you're coming from the right, or the greater than symbol, okay, it's 1 minus whatever that number is from the chart. If you are in between, so if you had a number that was like this, in mathematical symbols, you would look both of those up on the chart and you would subtract them. Remember that your answer has to come out to be positive, because areas must be positive. All right, so we're going to look at these. Some of you have said, wait a minute, I don't know how to do these. Well, all you have to do is say, which direction of what side am I shaded on? Okay, so this one is shaded on the left, so I'm coming from the left. So I'm going to look up 1.56 on the chart, and I get 0.9406. It's as simple as that. The things that you need to remember on this are, if you are missing a decimal place, then you need to add the 0. So when I look up these two numbers, I'm looking up negative 1.12 on my chart. When I do that, I get 0.1314. On this one, it says 0.2. Now, I need another decimal place, so I got to put my 0 on there. So when I look that up, I get 0.5793, and then I'm going to subtract those two, putting this bigger number in the calculator first in order to get my answer. So remember, you have to come out with a positive answer. If you don't, then you put it in the calculator backwards. The thing I want you to make sure you do is go through and label on each of these. I want you to go through and label, is it left, right, or between? So now is the time. If you've never figured out which one is less than and which one is greater than, now you must know the difference. Less than points to the left. So if that's a help, that's the way you want to remember it. That's fine. Less than points to the left. So each of these are left. Okay. Some of those on the next page, this is what is to the left, this is to the right. So I have to do 1 minus whatever the number is that I get off the chart. On this one, I'm going from the right, but I also have to add that 0. On this one, I have to add 2 zeros because I'm missing both my decimal places. Okay, the words are pretty easy, and they decided today in class that they didn't want me to do the words, so we skipped over those. These are like the ones that we just did in the beginning, where you had to look up the number from the chart and give me the z-score. So there's those two. And then we have our review from empirical rule and Chebyshev's theorem. If you have not done all the quiz 3 times. You must have that done by Tuesday at midnight. Otherwise, it is a 0. So you should have taken the normal distributions quiz 3 separate times. Okay. If you have not, you need to go back and do that. So I'm going to go back through just to make sure we remember how to do these. If you are looking for a percentage, you take the biggest number from the range and you subtract the mean or the average and you get your answer. Then you divide that answer by the standard deviation, the number that you have up here in the problem for the standard deviation, and then you look it up in this chart up here that you have at the top. Or for Chevy Chevs, you can use the formula. Now remember that this formula up here is only in play if you're using Chevy Chevs. If you're using the empirical rule, you cannot do that formula. So please make sure that you're paying attention to that. So in this particular instance, I would encourage you, if you don't already, to go through and highlight your keywords. So I have the certain job, it is a company, an average of $246. So I'm going to highlight that. I have a standard deviation of $10, so I'm going to highlight that. Now I need the biggest number out of my range. So I have all my numbers highlighted. So I'm going to do 266 minus 246, which is 20, divided by the standard deviation, which is 10. So that tells me I have 2 standard deviations, and it asks me for the percentage for empirical rule. So I go up here and say 2 standard deviations for the empirical rule is 95%. The percentage for 2 standard deviations for Chevy Chevs is 75%. Okay, so those have not changed. Somebody asked me to do one as if we were doing the range. On number 23, it said you had to use Chevy Chevs, and here is how I set up the formula if you need a reminder for that. For the range, I said I want the range of values that fall in 99.7% of the data. So 99.7 is 3 standard deviations on empirical rule. So I'm going to take those 3 standard deviations times the standard deviation that I'm given in the problem, which is 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm going to do 18. I'll do it over here. 18 minus 6 to get my first number, which is 12. And 18 plus 6, which is 24, to get my second number. So my range would be 12 to 24. Hopefully that helps you get started with the review. You have a quiz that will be open tomorrow by the end of the day. So you need to make sure you take the quiz tomorrow.